Well, the New Patriotic Party has accused former President John Dramani Mahama of corruption related to the Airbus scandal, which involved aircraft procurement for the Ghana Armed Forces. The case was referred to the Office of the Special Prosecutor in September 2020 for investigation into possible conflict of interest, bribery and corruption. After a 4-year investigation, the OSP cleared John Mahama, his brother Adams Foster Mahama, and others of wrongdoing. Despite the OSP's findings, NPP Director of Legal Affairs, Gary Nimako, stated that the matter should be further investigated by other bodies. He spoke on Newswire.
The findings, as they are contained in the report, all right, are at variance with the conclusion.
Establish that.
That is why I'm going. Don't truncate my thoughts.
I'm not truncating you. Go ahead.
Now, you see something? You have the Samuel Adam Mahama, okay? He being a brother, the blood brother of former President Mahama, leading the charge for this business. No other place other than Ghana. There were other countries which we were told that he was dealing with. And yet, they brought him to Ghana. And look at the aggressiveness with which Airbus was pursuing their business operations and offering monies and inducement and all that to officials of state. Fast track forward, we are now being told that this business actually went through. And then the first 2 aircrafts were signed. And Ghana paid for it. Why? We were expecting to see a direct bribery being given to, Mahama, and then he carried the money direct to his brother in Ghana. Is that what we were expecting to see? I don't think so. You can never find in these transactions direct money being given to anybody. You can never find it.
Okay. So
it is the activities that you have to go around and look at the circumstances and look at the person's involvement. What was his interest? The time that former President Mahama went to the United Kingdom to lead the business, the official business, for them to do a presentation for them. And he presented over the presentation when he knew that his brother was the person leading the transaction for Airbus. It was a red flag. These are serious situations. Now, you do not expect, with all respect.
So the OSP should have done what? Should have concluded that there is basis for prosecution. Is that what you're saying?
There's a strong basis, in my view, to suggest conflict of interest situations, which...
Prosecution for conflict of interest, is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying, conflict of interest situations which should be referred to relevant authorities for them to look at it again.
Was speaking on News File on Saturday. Now, speaking on the same show, former MP for Tamale Central, Inusa Fuseni, however, believes the law does not allow the OSP to refer the matter to Shraj.
What Gary is saying is not in tandem with the law that set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The law did not say that if the Office of the Special Prosecutor came to a conclusion that its jurisdiction in the matter had not been properly invoked, it could suggest other institutions to take up. The law did not give the Office of that Special Prosecutor that mandate. Now, what the mandate the law gave to the Special Prosecutor was to request for cases. I mean, that's the opposite. If the Iyoko or Chirac was investigating a matter and the Office of the Special Prosecutor felt strongly that that matter bordered on its jurisdiction and it could do the case properly so well, you could call for that case and do it, but not suggest where the case should go. Now, so the conclusions, in fact, to be honest with you, I would have been shocked if the OSP had come to a different conclusion. Unless you've not read the judgments, the deferred prosecution judgment or agreement of the UK, the consent of France, and if you read all.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital is set to reopen its dialysis center after receiving essential consumables for treatment. The center had been closed for 13 days without prior notice, prompting renal patients to threaten a picket after seeking care from private facilities. Here is President of the Renal Patients Association, Bafo Ahinkra.
When the news team arrived at the dialysis unit, the usual beeping sound of medical equipment was missing. Only the security man and the president of the Kidney Patients Association, Bafo Ahinkra, were on site. 3 members of the association, according to Mr. Ahinkra, have lost their lives recently.
Yes, I'm not a doctor, but we've lost 3 people. As to how it was because of out of the dialysis, that because of the closure, I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't know, but I know I've lost 3 people.
Within that period?
Within the period. But like I said, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to take their job. Whether it was because of the closure, I don't know. But we've lost 3 people.
Those who can afford treatment at private facilities have had to reduce the number of times they go for the dialysis. The poor have been forced to halt treatment in hopes the Kolebu dialysis unit will be reopened soon.
But the hospital's management has been responding to this development, indicating the much-needed consumables have been received and that the center will start operating from next week. Let's share with you details of this particular statement that the hospital has released. Now, you remember that as you saw, the patient have been threatening to picket because they could not continue to seek for private care. But the hospital says the needed consumables have arrived in the country, and as we speak, they are being cleared from the Tema Harbour so that you can have that. Let's share with you details. It says we are pleased to announce that the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has secured a significant quantity of essential consumables for dialysis, which is currently being processed for delivery to Kolebu from the Tema port. Now, it again says the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ghana Supply Company are providing vital support to expedite this clearance on an emergency basis to ensure that we continue to deliver top-notch care to our valued patients. They say that as a result, we anticipate that the outpatient section of our dialysis center will return to full operations early next week. While we had initially hoped to have these supplies cleared from the port 2 weeks ago, procedural lapses and documentation issues on the part of the shipping line unfortunately caused a delay in the clearance. So this is what the hospital is telling us, in the assurance that by next week, the renal center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital will be reopened to attend to patients there. Let's move away from that. And Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Pharmacy, Audrey Bonsu, is calling on the government to eliminate import taxes on medicine to reduce high costs. She argues that the high import taxes are driving up drug prices and thereby affecting healthcare delivery negatively. Madam Bonsu made this appeal at the launch of the Health Community of West Africa in Accra, an initiative aimed at building a strong network of health professionals across West Africa to improve healthcare delivery. Carlos Caloni has more in the following report.
Led by Essence Medical Laboratory, the Health Community of West Africa, HECOA, is a private initiative aimed at building a strong network among health workers across the region to enhance healthcare delivery. Chief Executive Officer of HECOA and Essence Medical Laboratory, Anna Jean, stated that HECOA will promote knowledge sharing and support research, bringing together medical practitioners and producers to address critical health challenges in the region. Speaking through an interpreter, she emphasized the goal of a healthier West Africa, leveraging the new initiative.
The
vision for HECOA Association has born out from the HECOA, because you see HECOA Association is really originally from the HECOA, and with the goal of bringing together hospitals, medical practitioners, manufacturers, companies, and professors in the medical field. Our shared purpose is to promote better healthcare, foster academic and research collaboration, advocate for the effective policy implementation, and bridge the gap in medical equipment and resources.
She also urged HECOA stakeholders to support the initiative, especially the upcoming HECOA China Health Expo on August 26 to 28 at the Accra International Conference Center. Stakeholders believe this initiative will enhance healthcare delivery across the sub-region.
Our healthcare system is good, but then we need so much improvement. We are not up to the standard yet, to be honest. In the pharmaceutical industry, we need more research done on medications. We need to collaborate more with countries outside, for instance, China. And then we need to make some progress when it comes to manufacturing and innovating new medications. I'll take one instance in vaccines. Usually, the Ghanaian manufacturing system isn't able to manufacture vaccines, or we are not well equipped yet. But then with interactions like this, I think we will be able to make some good progress when it comes to especially manufacturing vaccines.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Pharmacy, Audrey Bonso, criticized the growing burden of import taxes on drugs and called on the government to eliminate them.
Sometimes even just acquiring the product is not as expensive as even the duty that comes with it, and that eventually has a negative toll on the patient, because then we are doing business, so you should think of profits as well. So that extra cost because of the duty ends up impacting the cost of the medications, and then eventually onto the patient or the consumer at the end of the day. So we are advocates, and then we're saying that we believe that the health is such an important or key area or aspect of the human life. We live just once, and the health is what leads to productivity. So if the government can focus on as much as possible moving off any form of taxes, VAT or any additional hidden charges that come to that influence the cost of the medication.
The inaugural Health Expo, set for August 26 to 28, will bring together health practitioners and pharmaceutical manufacturers from the health community of West Africa. The event aims to strengthen collaboration and drive improvement in healthcare across the region. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, Accra.
This is the Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the Ghana National Council of Private Schools is demanding a presidential charter and an inclusive policy environment that recognizes the contributions of private schools in the national educational framework. Speaking on the sidelines of the annual Educational Leadership Summit in the Eastern Region, the Executive Director of the Council, Obinfo Nanakwesi Jetwia, expressed concerns that current educational policies are gradually sidelining and phasing out private schools. Maxwell Kudeko has more in the following report.
The summit aimed to chart new policies that would inform government decisions. The executive director called for a presidential charter for private schools, emphasizing the need for an inclusive policy environment that values diversity in education. He also urged private school heads to adopt course content that empowers students with technological skills to meet growing global demands. According to a World Bank report, private schools provide education for 24.4% of basic school children, 15.49% of senior high school students, and 12% of tertiary students in the country.
Grant the council a presidential charter that will elevate the status of the council to private education service in order to deliver and coordinate education in Ghana. Government is bent to reform education, but one key component of reformation is that you don't do reform, whereas you witness that the reform is also a tantamount of collapsing existing business. So if government is coming out with policies like the free SHS policy, school placement policy, the 30% affirmative policies, there is a need for government to recognize that there is a body in the country that also supports areas where government has not been able to reach in terms of educational delivery. We have seen that the kind of assessment that we have been championing our educational state is mainly for
theoretical learning. Learners ought to have been given the chance for them to express themselves, for them to be able to assess in such a way that that is not called for only pen and paper test.
A deputy director of the National Schools Inspectorate Authority, Michael Yahweh Champon, tasked schools to adhere to quality education delivery outcomes.
As the Ghana people celebrate this year's Omo Festival, the youth have been urged to resist exploitation by political interests seeking to incite trouble ahead of the general election. The Ghana community say they feel more united than ever under their king, Nimako II, whom they see as a unifying figure they haven't had in recent years. Carlos Caloni has more on the Homo celebration from Gamashi.
Homowo, meaning hooting at hunger, is an ancient annual celebration by the Ghana people. This year's festival, themed Development and Progress, has drawn both locals and visitors from around the world. Following tradition, His Royal Majesty Nimako II visited clan heads and chiefs in Gamashi, where he performed the traditional Pokwe sprinkling ritual to symbolize the end of hunger. The Ghana community believes that since his ascension to the throne, the king has shown a strong commitment to unifying the state.
We the Ghanaians, we have come to compromise that we have to be united. As Ghana have suffered in the kingship for so long, but now we have had someone who is standing for the Ghanaians and he's doing well. So we've given him a whole support, so the Ghana must rise up again.
We are here in support of our king, King Nimako II, who indeed have proven to be a unifier, who has proven to have the Ghana state in his mind and on his heart, and wants to see that the Ghana state from today onwards or forward going will be better than he came and met it.
Abola Mancheni Ahini Nuno III, however, advised youth of the Ghana state not to allow themselves to be used by politicians to foment trouble as the general election approaches.
We need unity. We don't want violence. Whoever wins is the person we're going to follow. So we thank everybody. They shouldn't use us, and it will be in vain. We are guns, and when you want to win, you win in Greater Accra.
He also advised the Electoral Commission and political parties to ensure fairness in the upcoming election.
Free and fair election, that's all I'll say. Free, fair election, and whoever wins will follow the person.
So the streets of Gamashi have been awash with red and black as the Ghana people mark this year's Homowo. One message from the traditional leaders here is for the peace of the country to be maintained as we head to the national or the general election in December. Reporting from Gamashi here in Accra, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Now, flag bearer of the new Patriarchy Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says his administration will invest heavily in railway transport to facilitate trade and develop the economy. He added that local industries will see a more reliable source of funding to increase production and create more jobs. He resumes the second phase of his campaign in the eastern region through this weekend, touching base with the Nsawoma Dwejiri, Ayen Suan and Sum constituencies and other parts of the region. Maxwell Kudoko has come through with this report.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said the railway system, if connected well, will facilitate trade within Ghana and neighboring countries, adding that the system will further enhance movement of citizens within the country and promote commerce. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been talking to the chief and people of Nsawom as part of his second phase of the Eastern Regional campaign. He said the Western and Eastern rail lines will be given a facelift under his administration, given the opportunity to serve. He also pledged continued support for local businesses to grow.
One of my projects are me ye power Ghana, ye railway projects. Railway, it's a game changer for Ghana. Especially two main railways, Eastern Line, the Western Line. We know Eastern Line and Western Line railway program. No, be person me de si hopa na ya program no railways no na ebeboa yin na transportation issues with commercial transport passenger transport no railway no beboa na mebe commissioning nano foods Aztec former Aztec that is a here some capital injection it mean MP yebe ejuma aboa ho because omunya sa injection no
Member of Parliament for the Abitifi constituency, Mr. Brian Echampon says the NPP will do all it can to ensure it wins the election 2024 to continue to develop the country.
2024 abano enyado me win it da I'm winning check your record. I'm winning. Na MPP amanya kono. MPP amanya kono. Yes, you say you be winning election. MPP. Yes, you say you be winning election.
Now to business, and Professor of Finance and Economics at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokping, has questioned the sincerity of the Finance Minister's apology over the mess created by the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, the DDEP. This was after Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, during a town hall meeting in Accra, acknowledged the hardships being experienced in the country. Speaking on Newsfile on Joy News, Professor Bokping described government's approach towards the debt restructuring exercise as intentional without taking cognizance of the consequences.
You can have a policy and talk about the intended consequences and the unintended consequences. I want to believe that at the time government was taking this decision, they knew what was going to happen. They knew. They knew this was going to impose considerable hardship on Ghanaians. Ghanaians also knew, to a large extent, the consequences of these actions. And therefore, there were alternatives in terms of proposals on the table. There were. Government simply failed to listen to Ghanaians. And the approach government adopted in the domestic debt exchange really clearly doesn't suggest that government really, in the immediate, they knew there were going to be hardships.
I'm surprised you are getting support. Me says clearly intended. Ratings agencies, whoever, they cried. And citizens also cried. CS.
And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Stay tuned because there's more on this channel. Good evening.